that I don't think I've ever shared all of my views because I guess they'll be seen as like kind of extreme.
Well, hello, Athena. I was wondering when you and your eyebrows were going to grace my FYP again. Like, you've got some controversial takes, huh? Although I wouldn't call them takes as much as like loud assertions to your own shocking racism.
On here and told you guys all of my beliefs because I'm sure they'll be seen as controversial. But this is what I live by, so here goes. The government shouldn't require people who own businesses to hire like disabled people and women. If you're in a wheelchair, that's not my problem.
For all of the teachers and healthcare workers, liberal teachers and healthcare workers that are saying that they're going to hide their students or patients from ICE, you do realize that is a federal crime, right?
No.
A few weeks ago, I was searching for new video content, and so I went on TikTok and I typed controversy into the search bar, as you do. And the first video that came up was this one about somebody called @TheRealAthenK.
Minutes ago that I don't think I've ever shared all of my views because I guess they'll be seen as like kind of extreme.
We about to fact check this.
@TheRealAthenK on TikTok is a young woman with just under 2,000 followers, but just over 100,000 views on her most controversial video.
I don't think I've ever shared all of my views because I guess they'll be seen as like kind of extreme. But that's just my political beliefs. It is what it is.
Of course, TikTok commentators got their hands on this video and started sounding off, rightfully so, against her.
We watched the same video and I knew some of you were going to bean soup this. I never said, if you are abused, it is your fault.
Were you not the same person who said this?
And you give him excuse after excuse and you stay with him, that is your fault on a certain level. I'm sorry, that's a 50-50 split.
That sounds like victim blaming to me. You just said that victims are 50% responsible for the abuse that they endure if they don't leave quick enough for your standards. Do you want to know the percentage of responsibility that a victim has in their own abuse? It's 0 if you couldn't guess.
I had seen one video also that had briefly mentioned her as being ableist, but otherwise I didn't really know too much about this controversy. But Athena isn't the only one that is playing this game, this weird attention-getting game, aka making a video that is guaranteed to get picked up by commentary YouTubers or commentary TikTokers. There's seemingly no end to the amount of rage baiters on TikTok, and there is no end to the YouTube videos made about them. Even when people point out in the comments that they are, in fact, rage baiting. Some of the most infamous TikTok rage baiters include Nara Smith, the Grave Cleaner Girl, and all these people who just want to waste food all the time. So what gives? Why is this all we seem to see on the internet anymore? Hi, I'm Melody, or Mel. Welcome back, or welcome to my channel. Here I talk about controversial people on the internet, interesting internet topics. So if that's something that you like, make sure to not only like this video, but subscribe and stick around for more. So what's even happening here? In Athena's video, she lays out pretty much every opinion that would give any normal caring person an aneurysm to hear. Her video on her quote-unquote most controversial views has gotten over 900 comments compared to her average videos 9 or 10. So let's go over this video and what is wrong about it, because I have to admit it almost got to me too. No, I'm just kidding. I film with my phone, so I'm actually going to be watching a TikTok on my laptop, which I know is weird. Y'all can make fun of me in the comments.
That I don't think I've ever shared all of my views because I guess they'll be seen as like kind of extreme. But that's just my political beliefs. It is what it is. Starting off really strong. I don't think it's the government's business to tell me who I have to hire or who I can and cannot turn away. If I run a dog walking business and you are in a wheelchair and your arms barely work, I'm not going to want to hire you, and nothing could make me hire you because you are not suitable for this job. There are jobs for people who are disabled or people who are this, that, and the third that they'll easily flourish, but there are some businesses that it just does not make sense. And I shouldn't be forced legally to oversee that when it's my fucking business.
This is the one that almost got me, because as a disabled person, I was like, oh girl, you have no idea. So first of all, the ADA, or the Americans with Disabilities Act, which was introduced in 1990, the year that I was born, by the way, does not require businesses to hire disabled people. What it does require is that if you do hire a person that is either disabled or becomes disabled while they are working for you, that you provide reasonable accommodations. Now, the term reasonable accommodations is left up to legal interpretation, meaning that your boss can deny you accommodations based on the fact that for them it is not reasonable. So if it costs too much money, for example, or if it if it changes too much about your job description so that you would be working a completely different job, they can refuse to do that. It's completely legal. Secondly, where in the fuck are these jobs for disabled people that you are talking about? Because in my experience, people don't want to hire you if you have a visible disability at all. Once you walk in the door with your visible disability for an interview, you're pretty much cut out of that position in their mind, because they're going to have to provide accommodations for you. There's going to be things that you won't be able to do in the job description, in their opinion. Whether or not you can actually do those things doesn't matter. So jobs for disabled people are already a thing that you don't have to worry about if you're a private business owner, generally, as long as you're not being a complete asshole and telling people, I am not hiring you because you're disabled, you can get away with it. Like there's little to no protections actually under the ADA that require people to hire people that are disabled. Thirdly, for a dog walking job, somebody who's disabled could easily do that job. I see people in wheelchairs walking their dogs all the friggin' time. So, that's not something that they wouldn't be able to do. But again, you as the business owner could make that decision with with little to no actual repercussions under the law, which is really fucked up, and that should be changed. But that's what almost got me to rage comment on this video. But I knew before going in that it was a rage bait video, so I didn't do that. But you see how tricky it can be to avoid commenting and to avoid watching these. Like, they really hook you in with something that is just completely ridiculous right off the bat. So let's go into her second point. Turn my volume down.
Number 2, we should have people that are armed protecting schools. We have armed people protecting sports events, concerts, banks, airports, but not our children. How many gun shows happen around this country every single year? Thousands. How many people attend them in total? Hundreds of thousands. How many shootings happen at gun shows? You ever hear about it? There's millions of guns lying around total between all of these events combined, yet no one gets shot because everyone is armed. Expecting that a lock on a classroom door is going to stop a bullet is incredibly fucking dense.
As a parent, this one pisses me off again, because the fact that people go to shoot up schools is because there's a bunch of vulnerable people there. They're not targeting gun shows because, again, there's not a bunch of vulnerable people there. It's not because there's a bunch of people there with guns. Having been to a billion gun shows in my life, because my dad was a hunter, you have guns at those shows. It's very much a different environment, and yes, our schools do need better protections and better security. I don't agree that somebody with a gun should be at every door in a school, or that everybody in a school, all the teachers should have guns. You should, if you're going to have a gun, you should be trained how to use it. That should be a thing. You should have to pass a class before you're allowed to own a gun, just like you are for a car, for example, or for at least a driver's license in the US. But yeah, I completely disagree with her here, and there's like zero logic to it anyways. But there's a whole bunch of other things that go into gun safety, including mental health care, which is something that we need to address in this country. Also just not having guns available for every Tom, Dick, and Harry on the street, that would be great too. Let's go on to her third point.
Number 3, I don't think trying to bunch of religions and cultures together has ever done any country any good. There are certain backgrounds and religions and countries that are incredibly behind on productivity. Like, you are talking about entire regions of people around the world that have IQs lower than the most mentally incapacitated person here in America. I don't want those people here. These studies have...
I don't even think we need to go into this. It's just completely blatantly racist.
Buried since then. But back in the 90s and the early 2000s, there have been hundreds of studies done, and you can easily go find them if you just dig a little bit, about how multiculturalism has actually damaged communities more than it's.
Okay, then share the studies. You're the one that's presenting this as a fact, so you're the one, the burden of proof is on you. You need to share the studies with us.
People do not gather together as much. People do not knock on their neighbors' doors as much. People do not do social gatherings as much. People do not feel as safe. People don't feel as productive in school. This one's.
That has nothing to do with multiculturalism at all.
It's gonna put me under fucking fire. Holy shit. A lot of the Black community needs to be addressed. I am tired of Black people pretending like they are the ones that didn't start slavery because they were, and I'm tired of them pretending that white people didn't die to end slavery because we were. I'm also tired of pretending that there are still slaves today and all of the slave owners are, you guessed it, people of color. I'm also tired of pretending that there weren't white slaves as well. And I think that a lot of people in the Black community avoid these truths because they want to try and move up in this country without having to do the hard work.
First of all, Black people did not invent the intercontinental slave trade. That was white people because they were the ones that had access to boats and the money to do so. Every civilization, yes, has had slaves mainly of their own communities and mainly of prisoners of war. And secondly, yes, there are still slaves today. They're called sex slaves. Have you heard of a little man called Epstein? There are children that are trafficked for slavery, not even for the sex trade, but for like maid services, basically. Those are things that definitely exist today. White people were not enslaved. They were at most indentured servants, just 100% being racist.
Islam does not belong in the West. I'm sorry. Believing that people who follow Islam will not violently conquer and subjugate your country like they did to the other 56 non-Muslim countries they did it to is like believing an abuser will stop beating you after beating you 56 times. How do you expect the West to coexist with a culture who is open about hating the West?
Okay, I'm not even going to address the abuse thing here. The person going back to an abuser thing is definitely something that is a topic that needs to be addressed. But Islam is a actually peaceful religion. I don't know if you know this, but it is. Yeah, there's extremists in every religion. Have you heard of a little thing called the Crusades? She seems to think like that doesn't exist and that like Islam is the only extremist Islam is the only religion that does that, and it's not, by the way. So that's just, again, ridiculous racism.
Created women the way that he created farm animals. That is their belief. You should strike and beat women, but not vindictively, therapeutically. That is their belief. Asking me and my children to coexist with those beliefs is like asking me to walk on glass. Finally, no, I do not believe that words are violent. I think you're just sensitive and a wimp. Words only affect you as much as you let them affect you. Why am I able to come online even with daily hate comments? Because I have thick skin. I'm a grown adult. I don't see someone say something mean and then decide to go blow up a whole classroom over it. All are influencing and teaching people that just mean words equate to a literal punch in the face and then turning around wondering why violence is getting so much worse in this country.
Okay, so the last point there. The people that have committed mass violence usually are people that have either they have a mental disorder and or they have also been under repeated abuse by either like actual abuse from people in their family or bullying. So, you know, there's those things. Now, I do agree that, you know, words can only affect you as much as you let them, but people with mental disorders have a limit on how much they can let things affect them or not. Like, it's not a choice for them. But I don't think that she actually believes in mental health disorders, so that would be another thing. But you can see, like, just even how worked up that I got reacting to that, how hard it is to just scroll past something when you see something that is that vitriolic. So the other thing that just like gets me about this is that Athena is treating her views as some kind of like super fringe, super controversial thing, where it's actually like these are the common views in the US government right now. Like the people that are in charge of our government, these are their views. Like it's not like way out there, like fringe stuff. Like the people that are in charge of our country have these views. So that's like the other thing that really tips me off that this is rage bait, is that like it's not even as crazy as she's making it sound, but she knows that it'll get people angry because the majority of people freaking hate our government right now. So like she's just preying on those feelings, which is really screwed up in my opinion. And I was going to go a little bit deeper into this creator because she has her follow-up video is just riding Trump's dick. So it was also very controversial, if you will. But after going through some of her other ones, like they're just kind of boring. So why did this one video even pop off? Well, we've seen this before with other creators. One video is just plain batshit crazy and gets the attention of the algorithm, and the others are boring or even just normal. Take the clean girl, for example. She had a couple of crazy videos of cleaning people's graves without anyone's permission, which are actually pinned to the top of her page. These videos have gotten hundreds of millions of views, whereas her other videos only got hundreds of thousands. On the other end of the rage bait spectrum is famous quote-unquote trad wife, influencer, and ex-model Nara Smith. She is a known rage baiter, or at least exaggerator. Her videos usually start out with something like, "My husband was craving bubblegum at 3 a.m., and so I got up to make some from scratch." It's pretty obvious that she isn't really doing these things for her kids and husband just because they all of a sudden crave it, but she figured out that that would get people talking in the comments, so it stuck. This formula seems to work for her. She regularly gets millions of views on her TikToks. Similarly, you might notice certain creators always misspelling just one word or always having some kind of weird thing in the background to get people to comment on. This is because comments make the almighty algorithm think that people like that video, and then they push it into others' feeds. So, what you could do right now is leave a comment on this video. No, I'm kidding. That's really cheesy. And it doesn't really matter what the platform is, but TikTok's especially seems less regulated than others, like YouTube's, where things like a video's total watch time are actually more important than how many comments a video gets. And of course, comments and engagement equal money. But how did we even get here to this rage-baiting internet of the future? Well, back in the beginning of video sharing platforms, most videos uploaded to websites like YouTube were shorter and attempted to get attention in a shorter amount of time. Usually a quick joke, a music video parody, or short animated videos were what people wanted to see. This was before anyone was monetized, of course, or making an actual living from having YouTube channels. And it was mostly because YouTube actually instituted a 10-minute time limit in 2006 to curb people from uploading full movies or TV shows to the website. Once monetization came into the picture in 2007, advertisers started pulling the strings. This changed videos from short form to longer form so more advertisements could be shown to audiences. The time limit was increased to 15 minutes in 2010 and up to 12 hours or 256 gigabytes, whichever was less, in 2011. Yay, capitalism. Of course, these changes benefited creators too, but let's not kid ourselves, it benefited Google and advertisers the most. While these changes were great news for seasoned YouTubers who could easily change up their content without losing their audiences, newcomers often struggled to find followers and maintain watch time compared to the OG YouTubers. Enter Vine. In 2013, during the height of YouTube, Vine offered a new platform for 6-second videos that would loop until you went on to the next one. This forced its creators to be snappy and creative with the time limit and launched the careers of creators such as Drew Gooden, Danny Gonzalez, and unfortunately, Gabby Hanna. In 2017, Vine officially shut down and forced their creators to migrate to other platforms. Many of them choosing YouTube as the monetization options were way better than Vine had been. Musical.ly was also another short-form video app, mostly for lip-syncing and dancing, and was launched in 2014. Some famous people from Musical.ly include Jacob Sartorius, Baby Ariel, and Liza Koshy. And in 2017, Musical.ly was absorbed into the similar site TikTok. TikTok was very similar at first, with only 3 to 60 seconds allowed for uploads. Most of the creators were still lip syncing or dancing or creating cosplay content, which was super popular on the site. Since 2020, in part because of the pandemic, TikTok has been a major competitor for short form content. TikTok has since inspired Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter to have their own short form video sections that also have creator monetization options. So that's how we got to short form content. But what about rage bait content? Well, when you start monetizing how much attention someone can get, it is kind of inevitable that we would eventually fall down this rage baiting rabbit hole. We even saw this in the days of what was called yellow journalism, an early form of basically gossip that started in the late 1800s and prioritized scandal, sensationalism, exaggeration, and sometimes straight up lies over true news. And this was in big news platforms too. It wasn't just in, the gossip magazines that you see at the checkout line today. A big example of yellow journalism is the story of H.H. Holmes, a con man and murderer who was alleged to have a murder hotel filled with traps and killing rooms where he would supposedly lure 200 victims and visitors to the 1893 World's Fair, or the World's Columbian Exposition. Holmes was only convicted for one murder, and it is theorized that he probably killed around 9 people total. But that wouldn't make a good headline and sell more newspapers, so the 200 number was chosen instead, and fake building plans were drawn up to show the horrific supposed interior of the hotel, which was actually never finished or open to the public. All this to say that stretching the truth and straight up lying is nothing new when it comes to making money. Today's creators are just trying to make a buck like everyone else so that they can live under capitalism. This, of course, does not excuse the creators' behavior. The wasting of food is real. The disrespect to people's graves is real. The spreading of bigoted ideas is real, and people can do real harm with this. Social media like TikTok creates an echo chamber and makes people believe that their views are correct. Those views, through voting and policy changes, do real harm to people. This kind of all reminds me of the downfall of Facebook, in that once most Facebook posts were clockably noticeable as AI or bot posted, most people stopped using the platform, except for your weird uncle that you don't really talk to anymore. It makes me really think about how long platforms like TikTok will last if all the content is just rage bait. If we actually want to keep it around as a format to share with other people, then we need to ignore the rage bait. That's easier said than done, but just bear with me here. The good news is, though, that these videos don't seem to be getting a lot of traction anymore, and people are getting smarter about recognizing rage bait. The more it is pointed out by others, the less attention these people are getting. The comments on Athena's videos, for example, are overall very negative, even on ones that don't mention her political views at all. So this is a good start. But honestly, we shouldn't even be engaging with these people's videos at all. I know it's really hard because if something elicits a strong reaction from you, you want to do something about it, but you have to fight that urge. Now, some of you might be thinking I'm going to be coming in here and talking about neurology and all of the different brain chemistry things that make us addicted to social media. But I feel like that has been way overdone. We already all know that our brains want to get high on dopamine and that social media provides that for us. So I'm just going to offer a different kind of advice, or a different way to go about this, which is stop it, get some help.
Get some help.
But also, seriously, the thing that we all have to do is just go cold turkey. Commenting on social media is not going to solve many of the world's social ills. Actually donating your time and your money, raising awareness in your actual real life community will do more good than commenting on a TikTok video will. So yeah, just don't comment on something if you don't like it. Just scroll past it. And this will do 2 things. It'll tell the algorithm that their content isn't something that you like, and it will make the creators' chances at being monetized for their awful content go down. So yay. Don't attack the people in this video when you come across them. Just ignore and scroll. Don't waste your time and energy on them. It's precious to you. You really don't have to let it go for that. I really just hate that this thing that was seemingly invented for connecting people all around the world is just one big advertisement now. I know I sound like old man yells at cloud, but I just can't help it. It just isn't good for us as a species to be on our phones so much. Just do me this favor as your weird aunt that hates technology, okay? Notice how you feel when you scroll. Are you feeling happy and uplifted or angry and depressed? Don't let yourself be sucked in by negativity and try to make your doom scrolling less doomy. Like things that are more positive. Comment on things that make you feel happy instead of angry. So just do that for me, okay? And also, as always, don't forget to drink your water, take your medicine, and eat something today if you haven't done those 3 things yet. Comment, like, share, subscribe this video, all those good things if you want to see more videos from me. And I will see you all in the next one. Bye!